Righto. So, daily market analysis. I have been streaming live through the day, looking at the price movements, looking at the charts. Nothing much has happened so far. Now we're live doing the market analysis, looking at some possible trade setups, looking at what has happened and what's going to happen for the rest of the week. If you're on the session, drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. And if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free, put it into the chat and let me know. All right. And you can help me out massively by remembering to click on that like and subscribe button. Good morning, Christina. How are you doing? Now, with all that said, a quick disclaimer: any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Please do your own due diligence, as the contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to a financial product, as your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Take that away. Take that away. Now, what has happened since the last time we spoke, which was Wednesday last week? We do a quick rewind on Forex Factory here. Right, this was Wednesday last week. Hey Jimmy, how are you doing? Very good profit. Nice. Okay, now on Thursday we had RBI Governor Bullock speaking. Didn't say too much. Kiwi inflation expectations quarter on quarter. It was a 2.33%. It came out at a 2.23. In terms of price movement, I didn't see it push too much. Still pretty much sitting in a bit of a relative consolidation. US unemployment claims was 249, revised 1 upwards to 250k. Expected 241, came out at 233k. Weekly number, again, not too concerned about that. And then through to Friday, nothing much until the Canadian employment numbers. Employment change was minus 1.4k. Expected 26.9, came out as a massive disappointment with a minus 2.8, while unemployment rate didn't rise, it stayed 6.4, expected 6.5, came out at a 6.4. So it stayed at 6.4. What happened here on the Canadian dollar? Not that much. You see, this was, where are we? This was Friday. Right at that time, fluctuated a little bit, but pretty much set in a horizontal fashion. Right, so kind of one of the reasons why I decided to take a bit of a long weekend was not much happening on the news. Now, through the weekend, well, on Friday, if I remember correctly, it was Friday, Thursday or Friday last week, we did see increased volatility and weakness on the yen. Japan had an earthquake in the southern part of Japan. There was a massive tsunami warning as well. We saw some weakness on the yen, but it pretty much stabilized a little bit. It's all an also because of what happened through last week with the BOJ shock. I'm seeing that word there, the BOJ shock, right? So we saw a lot of movements last week and then it stabilized. Through the weekend, nothing much, no big surprises. Today, the bank holiday in Japan in observance of Mountain Day. No idea what that is. Market's pretty much quiet because there's no major news through today. Tomorrow we do have wage price index for the Aussies, quarter on quarter, 0.8 to 0.9. I'm not thinking it's going to affect prices too much. We do have the UK employment numbers to be released. Claimant count changed, the number of people claiming for unemployment benefits looking to slow down from a 32.3 to a 14.5, with unemployment rate looking to go slightly higher from a 4.4 to a 4.5. It might not be great numbers for the UK, right? But we'll talk more about that. Oh no, we won't. That's at 2 p.m. We'll look at that as we're streaming live, but I think that we might see some weakness come back into play for the pound dollar. Then all the way, I'm not too concerned about PPI for now, but all the way through to Wednesday morning, Wednesday early 10 a.m., we have the RBNZ, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, with the interest rate decision looking to stay at a 5.5%. It is pretty much as they're expecting 5.5, it is pretty much split almost down the middle, that they haven't decided, that they could be cutting rates, right? So it could be planning. I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but we could be planning for what if a surprise rate cut comes around. We expect 5.5, but what if? What if a surprise rate cut comes around? We'll talk more about that on Wednesday as well. At 2 p.m., we have the UK with their CPI year on year, 2 to 2.3, a small increase. Could that spur more rate cuts to come from the BOE? Well, that's a bit down the line, but that's going to factor in. And then, very importantly as well, the US CPI data year on year staying at 3% might not be a bad news, but that could how do you say this? That could set up the opportunity for a lower than expected CPI, which could spur some weakness onto the dollar as it increases the likelihood for the Fed Reserve to cut rates in September. Thursday, we have employment data from the Aussies, GDP for the UK. We have the euro, part of the euro on a holiday. We have retail sales number to come for the US on Thursday. And then through to Friday, we have retail sales number to come for the UK. Right? So it's going to be interesting for the week, especially with some retail sales number to come out for the US and the UK, CPI numbers to come out for the US and the UK, and a rate decision to come from the RBNZ. So for today, if it comes to the point where I'm not rushing into any trades, I'm okay, because I think that we're going to see more volatility through the week. Now, with that said about the fundamentals, any questions so far? Put it into the chat and let me know. Good to be back. Thanks, Jimmy. Right, any questions, put into the chat and let me know. If not, or while you're doing that, I'll look into the dollar index. Dollar index today is the 12th of August. Oh, I said 12, I typed 13th. 4th of August. And as usual, just to remind everyone again, we are on an expanded watch list here. Covering a whole variety of different currency pairs as well. So, any questions, put into chat and let me know. All right, so dollar index, the last time we spoke on the 7th, it was right there, right? Where we said that it could come down. Move it down a little bit. Okay, it could come down to retest this level and bounce back. So we had it there. Could come down to 38.2, retest and bounce up. It came down, tested 38.2 and bounced off up to as high as 103.50 before coming back to rest around this level at 103.17. So half right, it did come down, it did bounce, just not as high as 104 as expected. So with that, now if I take this all the way to the top, take away that squiggly line, you can see that this trend line was like that before. So now adjusting the trend line, it is sitting right on that bullish trend line. Right? It's sitting right on that bullish trend line at the moment. What I'm seeing, let me check, longer term, that 38.2 is broken. I don't need that. So that move from the top down, we have it come up to 50%, test and reject and push back down. This move up, we have it testing the trend line, showing like it might break to the downside. And overall 38.2 at this 103 and that swing level there. Okay. So we know where we are right now with no major news. Take that away for now. Okay. With no major news on the horizon for the US all the way through to late tomorrow and CPI on Wednesday, I feel like the dollar could sit right across, right? The dollar index could sit right across, um, especially being supported by this 103 level. But I am also looking for the potential that it does break that 103 level and try and retest 102 again. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. So in terms of typing it up, basically we're looking at it likely to consolidate along, well, consolidate above 103, right? Likely to consolidate above 103 if broken. If broken, could retest 102 port level. Right, so it's likely consolidate along this 103 level. Okay, so that's again my triangle. If you look at that, I think that it could break, it will consolidate in this area. If it breaks below this point formed by what we've seen last week, we could see it break down towards the 102 level. I'm just thinking, could it pause? No, not 50, 51.8 maybe. But I think that we could see that, especially maybe for today it will sit in there, but looking for it to break and push down. Okay? So overall, bit quiet, but looking at some dollar weakness to come back into play. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then now looking at the Kiwi, we spoke about this on Thursday to test and reject. It did not test higher, but it did push down, finding 5980 before bouncing back up. It's sitting in that area again. We are looking for that dollar, or we were looking for that dollar weakness to come back into play. This morning, I was actually thinking that the Kiwi could test the resistance and push back down. All right. Remembering again that on Wednesday morning we have the RBNC with their rate decision. Show you that. Where was it? I saw that news. The shadow board is divided over whether the Reserve Bank should ease the overnight cash rate in August. That's for the Kiwi. Right, that's why I was saying that they're undecided at 5.5%. What I'm looking for here would be either for the Kiwi to test the resistance and reject. Same thing we spoke about, right? Sit there, test and reject, or for it to sit there, break that level and push down. Because we are thinking that even if they do stay at 5.5%, the likelihood for a rate cut is higher than a no rate cut. Likelihood for a rate cut is higher than um, a rate hike, and even if they don't cut rates, there could or most likely be talk about a timeline for a rate cut. So what you could be looking for would be 6030, stop loss 30, take profit down that 60 pip down here, or to sit there for it to break this level 5960, stop loss 25, take profit down 65 again. Between these two, because I'm expecting some dollar weakness, I like to see that, but I think that's the more likely scenario. So we'll look at 5960.25 to 65 to the downside. Okay, 5960, stop loss 25, take profit 65. Hey Stefan, how are you doing? Good morning. That way. Okay, good. Then, okay, then looking at the Aussie, I like the Aussie a lot more, right? So again, it tested, it pushed down, it didn't break below 23.6 and bounced right back up. So that trade shouldn't have triggered. Take that away. Now, if you look at that pushing higher, that big move back up, it's at the resistance, that 50 level. I was thinking 61.8 is right up there, hasn't factored in yet. Looking for it to consolidate at this resistance turned support level, kind of turned support level. Looking for it to break. I think that it would be a little bit too early to try and sell at 6565, right? If you look for it to break, just break that support level and break that area, I think it will be a little bit too early to try and sell down from there. What I would prefer is if it broke that 23.6, right, we can take this down. If it broke this 23.6, I'll be looking at 6530. You'll be looking at a 30 pip. Let me think. Hang on. I want to see it drop. You have the inverted head, wait for it to break, back down. Okay. Break 23.6, showing a rejection, a breakdown of this support level. I'll be looking for it to go 6530, stop loss 30, take profit. You could be looking at 61.8 down here. I don't think we're going to see a 120 pip move. There's no big reason why we should see a 120 pip move. We could see it come down. You know what? I think a better idea, okay? Because we are thinking that the Kiwi could push down. I would like to think that if the dollar does push down, then you could be looking at it to come down and push back up again. right? Test this area and push back. So leave the selling to the Kiwi, to selling the Kiwi down. If the dollar does weaken strongly, look for it to bounce off this level and push up on further dollar weakness above this round number of 0.66, right? You'll be looking at 6620, stop loss too far away, 66110. You're looking at a 40 pip stop loss. You could push it right up firstly to this point here, right there. All right, so we're looking for it to test and bounce. I would say that 6610, stop loss 40, take profit 70 to the upside. Hey Basanta, I am doing fantastic. You're well. So Aussie, we're looking to buy at 0.6610, stop loss 40, take profit 70 on massive dollar weakness. If it breaks like what it's showing, it's developing, it's not really ready yet, but it's developing that move to break to the downside. Okay, so we're looking for that. Test and bounce 6610, 40. You can go a little bit tighter, but I'll say 40 to 70 to the upside. Then looking at the Kiwi sitting right there, showing some possible weakness, especially later into the week. Aussie dollar thinking that it could push up. Looking at the Aussie Kiwi, we were talking for a test of that level, not going to happen. It bounced off already. Now pushing back up, looking at that Kiwi weakness, possibly we're looking, or we would be looking to buy it up from this point at 1.1020. Stop loss, you could be looking at a 30 pip. Take profit, we're looking at I don't think 115. I would say that you have a bit of a level there to consider, which would be about 60 pips to the upside. Right, so we're looking for it to break above that 50% retracement level, that previous level there. I could go a little bit lower, 1.1010, 20 pip stop, 70 pip take, or 65 pip take profit to the upside. On the Kiwi, on the Aussie Kiwi, expecting Kiwi to weaken quite massively, especially with the interest rate decision on the horizon and the likelihood or the indecision between a rate cut decision to come. Okay? Yep. Now, with that, then looking at the pound dollar. This, someone was asking, who was asking? John Chong was asking this earlier this morning about the pound dollar. Right, he was asking about the pound dollar, thinking that whether there could be upside potential. Right, it broke this big trend line to the downside that started on the 17th of July, tested on the 1st of August, tested again through early August. Now, on last week on Friday, broke that trend line, right? And also that 23.6 level broke. And that's where I thought, right, if it breaks above the previous high levels here that we saw on Friday, we could see this push up. But so that's where I was looking at it to buy at 1.2790 to the upside. It came close, it tried, it hesitating, consolidating, and you can see that it's again another triangle. right? It's another triangle that is sitting there deciding on whether to break up or not. At this point, unfortunately, we see a little bit of a pin bar there, the previous hour, right? We see a bit of a pin bar there on the previous hour. I still want to see this push up, but I think it could sit there for a while. That didn't trigger, take that away. I think that didn't. Jamil saying check the 5 minutes. It is pushing up, yes. So I was thinking that it could consolidate at this point, but I'll keep this view, right? I want it to break past this 23.6 level. I want it to break past this Friday high. Then I'll be looking at 1.2790, 30 pip stop, 65 pip take to the upside towards that resistance level again. That would be at that 50% retracement. So that worked very nicely. Yeah, okay. But my nose is really bugging me today. Okay. 1.27 1.27790, stop loss 30, take profit something, take profit 65 to the upside. Buy 1.2790, 30 to 65 to the upside. Okay. Especially the dollar weaken. I like to see that push up. That's great. It could play out quite nicely. Then on to the euro. This was, when I looked at this, I just couldn't help but laugh because we thought about this on Thursday where if it broke above that high, we could buy it up. It came right there, didn't want to trigger, came right back down. We had that head and shoulder pattern where if it broke that neckline, we could see it trade down. It came right to the neckline at 50%, refused to break, and bounced right back up again. So we take that away. None of those two trades were triggered. The euro dollar stayed within the range between 108.93 and 109.40, right? So it stayed within this range and it looks like it's pushing back up slightly, 50% holding. So again, anticipating that dollar weakness with no major news on the horizon, I think that it would be reasonable to expect some upside on the euro dollar. Now, if we look at this, you would see that it is at that 38.2 level. It needs to break. So again, like what we spoke about previously, 1.0945, stop loss 20 pips, take profit 50 to the upside. Basanta, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you shortly. I'm glad you like it. Do you like it? Put it into the chat. Let me know if you like it. And I'll send you the links for that shortly. Dollar, euro dollar test up, push up. You can see the TSRMUC, the one that Basanta was just talking about, crossing up. Makes sense. Let me double check again. 50 was right there. So wanted to break above 50, that's fine. I think that we can go up to 50, 25 to 50 pips to the upside. Let's do that. Okay, happy with that. Then 1.0950. Buy 1.0950. 50, stop loss 25, take profit 50 to the upside. Right. Thanks for that, Basanta. Um, then now looking at the pound dollar sitting around there, I feel like this might sit in this level, might push down a little bit before doing that. While the euro could just sit there in a bit of a consolidation before pushing up, right? So thinking about those two, then looking at the euro pound, it didn't push up to break higher, held that resistance, got rejected by that resistance as we spoke about it. 23 is broken, 38 is far away. So now if I look at that, fine, let me just check if I had it there. That's 38.2. Right, I'm just checking this move up because set right across. I'm just looking at the start of the move to the upside. Then you see that it bounced, it came to that level and it's holding. 23 broken and I don't need 50. 61 will be at the support level. Good morning, Nwachuku. Hi, Jumarinas. How you doing? And that trend line is broken, so I'll take that away. Now, looking at this, and you're thinking that, hey, pound dollar could push down a little bit before pushing back up. Maybe some dollar weakness leading to dollar in relation to pound strength. Euro maybe pushing to the upside. So I think euro pushing to the upside could drag this up. Right? Euro pushing to the upside could drag this up. What you would be looking for, would it be that it breaks above 8570, that previous high, 8580. Yeah, stop loss would be about 20 pips. Check that. 38.2 makes sense there. Break up to that point. So 20 to 40 to the upside. Right? So basically what we're looking at is euro pound pushed up, look for it to test and bounce. It's testing, it's consolidating. Break out of this consolidation above that 38.2. We're looking at 8580, 20 to 40 to the upside. Okay, I'll put that. So I'll have that. I won't type it into the summary. If not, the summary becomes that long. So I'll keep it here for now. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep that. Any questions so far? If you do, put it into the chat. Let me know. Again, remember to help me click that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Then we look at the yen. Right? Then we look at the yen. It's been sitting right across. So this was Thursday, Friday. We saw it push back up a little bit. I thought it was going to go. I was regretting not watching the charts, and then it just, well, Thursday it started pushing off this level. I thought it was going to push all the way. Then it set right across. Okay. At this point now, it's sitting there. This is going to be a very important level that you don't want to rush into. Right? This is a point that you don't want to rush into because, especially those of you who like looking at patterns, you see that we have this happening. Right? We saw a big move down. right? We saw a big move down on the yen. We know what happened there. It's pushed back up on Monday, right on Monday, Tuesday, as the BOJ started having a bit of indecision about further rate hikes. As they signaled indecision about further rate hikes, we saw the yen weaken back up, and it's being held just under that 148 level, right? It's being held just under that 148 level. I don't need 38.2. I think that's fine. And that point is holding. I'll consider as an area holding. 50 is there, 61. Okay, so I'm happy with that. What I'm looking for, right, is because we have planning a little bit in advance, is because we have the US CPI to be released on Wednesday evening. I'm thinking that it could sit there and we might see some dollar weakness come back into play, or we're expecting some dollar weakness to come back into play. And if that does come around, then you're looking at it to break that 38.2 level. Right? Dollar weakness come back in to break that support, break that trend line, and that previous low there to trade down. I want to see it break and say 145. I want it to break 145. I have a 70 pip stop just above this point. I would have a good take profit about 300 to the downside. Yes, there will be hesitation levels, but it also look at what happened here on Monday. When it broke that 145 level, we saw a good consistent move down. So I'm kind of planning in advance for a potential move to the downside there. Right? Might not happen today, but that's what I'm kind of looking out for. All right. So 145, 70 to 300. If not, if it doesn't happen, then I wouldn't be looking to do anything on the yen for now. All right. Sell at 145, stop loss 70, take profit 300 to the downside. The question you might have is, could it break up? If it breaks up, I'm still looking for a potential push back down. Right? So it could look like that, but I'm still looking for it to break that 145 level first. If anything, it will just make the entry a little bit earlier, but I like it below 145. Then, with that said, looking at the euro yen again, we talked about this consolidating, break that trend line. It barely broke before consolidating again. So take that away. So that didn't trigger. Take that away. Trend line. If we took just a tail, oops, we took just a tail all the way across, it's the same pattern, right? It's the exact same pattern that we've seen on the dollar yen, right across trend, pushing right back down. The only difference is if the euro dollar does push up. If it does push up, it could drag the euro yen up. But it looks like that's forming up and that's going to drag the US yen, could drag the euro yen back down. So what you want to see at this point, might have a dotted line here. Let me check. I don't need that dotted line. I don't need that dotted line. I would have the dotted line there, like that. All right, so what I would still be looking for on the euro yen would be for it to break that support and also break that low to trade down, which you would be looking for 159.30. Stop loss again about 70 pips. Take profit 160 to the downside. Right towards this point, if you look at this, that would be a 23 and 61. So 23 in that area, if it breaks, push down. Euro dollar could push up and drag the euro yen up, but with the way it has dropped, I'll be very careful with trying to buy it back up for now. Okay, then again, pound dollar, we're looking at it possibly pushing up. Pound yen, same thing, right? It didn't come down to trigger. Take that away. It's pushing up. I would think just because we've been looking at the euro yen pushing up, just because we've been looking at the US yen possibly pushing to the downside, we've been looking at the euro yen possibly following to the downside. I'm considering the possibility that maybe the pound dollar pushes up, right, strongly. We could see as an alternate, it sits there and it pushes up, right? I don't need that. In fact, I do think it's more likely to push back down, but we're going to cover and think that if it goes back up above one, no, hang on. If it goes back up above that point, actually I like 190. So only I need a bit more strength on that. Right, so it's consolidating, needs to break up above 190. You'll be looking at a tighter 100 to a 300 to the upside on the pound yen. Wait a minute. Back 50? Yeah, see 50 is right there. We wanted to break that point before we could see it push back up. Right, so it might sit there in consolidation, but we want to see it break above that level, above that 50, push up. 61 is at 192, and then a swing level there at 193. So we're looking for that push to the upside on the pound yen. Okay. Then on to the US Swiss franc. All right. It got there, but it took a little bit of a different path to get to that point where we saw it push up, came down, and tested and bounced. So trend line is still there, but it didn't exactly move to what we did, and it would have hit your stop loss. Now, on the US Swiss franc, I don't need that line. We see it pushing up. I want to see it continue higher. US Swiss franc, I want to let it go up. And in fact, if you look at this, I think we could even do a channel to the upside. Right, we could see a channel to the upside forming. And that would mean we're looking for a reaction at the resistance of 8750, that swing level there, and that 50% retracement. So US Swiss franc, I want to see a reaction at 8750. US Swiss franc, look for reaction at 0.8750. Yep, resistance of 875. Dollar is holding that level. Could it push back up? Never say never. Solid. If dollar does regain in strength, what could happen here? No, I think it's going to sit there. The most we're going to see it test a little bit higher, but it does need time to play out. Okay. Then onto the US CAD. Broke down slightly, consolidating right across. Take that away for now. We've seen that whole, we've been talking about this for the longest time, right? For it to test and reject, test, and finally broke down. Now, as it sits at this point, don't need this, take that away. And this is probably at that 61.8 level. There we go. Sitting right on 61.8. Fibonacci levels do play a big role in where prices head towards or react to. You take away that trend line, we see it test, reject, sitting on 61.8. That's my support turned resistance. Now at this point here, we're looking at possible dollar weakness pushing down. It's already showing some downward movement. So I would want to see this break and head lower. But how much lower could it go? I don't see it. I don't see it coming all the way down. I don't see it coming all the way down. I feel like I could see a point there. So if you're looking at this, then we're thinking of 1.37, below 1.37. Below 1.37, 30 pip stop, 45 pip take. You could go further and with a hesitation at that point, but I think that you could do a 45 to the downside first. Could you go in a little bit earlier? Possibly 1.3710, 20 to 55. As it breaks down from that consolidation will make sense as well. Okay, so 1.3710, stop loss 20, take profit 55 to the downside. Okay, good. Then last on gold, we were just talking about this earlier today. We had someone else asking about gold. I was saying that gold looks like there could be, if you scroll up onto the chat, right? Gold looks like there could be more upside, especially if it breaks above 24.34, which is at 61.8 level. But watch out for the resistance at 24.50. So it broke above 24.34 just the last hour. Now at 24.40, pushing up towards 24.50. Too late, unless you're scalping it, I wouldn't get in right now. I would say that I want to see it get to 24.50. It could break 24.50 and head up towards 2480 with a bit of a hesitation at about 2460. There we go. Break up, trending up, that makes sense. Break above resistance. Okay, so gold broke above 2434, which is the 61.8 level. Could trade up to 2450. Beyond that, could see 2480. And there we have it. Not much to get through for today because of not many news. But scrolling through again, you see the Kiwi pushing up, so we want to see that test and reject. The dollar weakness is it's not moving that much, but it's reflecting on the Kiwi. It's reflecting on the Aussie, kind of like the Aussie doing that. Aussie Kiwi is sitting right across because it's counteracting each other. Pound dollar showing some potential. Euro dollar sitting but looking at some possible break to the upside. Euro pound again, as the pound dollar pushes up, euro pound is going to push back down a little bit, but still in that consolidation. US yen is sitting in the pattern. Euro yen, same thing. Pound yen going, if the pound dollar pushes up, you could see the pound yen being quite interesting. The Swizzy is looking to test that resistance. The CAD, the Loonie, looking for the downside. It's a bit odd to say, but I kind of like the CAD a little bit more this time round. And also I rank the Aussie quite high on my list as well. Okay. Can I please move? Naren, I will be uploading this on my TradingView. There we go. I will be uploading this on TradingView on my TradingView profile as well, so you can check it out from there. All right. Oh, I realize I know what you're talking about. Okay. Okay, so with all that said, please remember, trade well, trade safe. I'll keep the stream running for a little while more. Doesn't seem like we're going to see much action for today, but I'm watching the Aussie dollar. If you have any questions, if you'd like to share any trade ideas or setups, put it into the chat and let me know. And if not, I'll see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care now.